Brad the Alien. Welcome back to week 7 of my $2 beginner poker challenge. I'm turning $2 into $2,000 playing poker online without making a deposit. This week was a bit of a roller coaster. I moved up from NL4 to NL6, so let's see how it went. But first, this is a graph from last week. Last week we're up $26. The bankroll total was $147, which is 7.4% of our way to the $2,000 goal. The win rate was 9.2 big blinds per 100 hands. My goal for this week was a win rate of 20 big blinds per 100 hands. This is a $6 table, and it's a bit of a weird, unconventional hand. This guy opens up, he does a little teeny tiny baby bet of 12 cents. And I do this ridiculous 3-bet of 75 cents. Now the reason I'm doing that is because this guy had just lost a big hand, and it was quite clear that he was tilting. He had just jammed a few hands, and it looked like he was getting reckless with any 2 cards, and I want the rest of his stack. And of course, you gotta think, who's behind me? Who's gonna mess up my plan here? This guy's playing 13% of hands, so is this guy, and we have an unknown. So I don't think it's likely that we're going to get any action with such a big bet from these guys behind me. Although if we do, they probably have a better hand than I do, and I might have to give up. So I'm taking a bit of a chance, but I think it's worth it. Folds around, and this guy calls. Now, what I'm trying to do here with this bet size of 75 cents is I'm trying to make the pot on the flop a little bit bigger than the size of his remaining stack, so I can just shove any flop. And that's my plan, to shove any flop, and it's not going to be a big overbet. And whoops, wrong button. It's a good flop for me. It's really dry and really low. He checks to me, and I just jam it in as planned, and he calls. And he turns over ace-queen. So we actually had a decent hand this time, but he missed the board, and I take down a decent pot. This is a $6 table, and we got aces, baby. We get a couple limps and a raise, and I get right down to business here, and I triple that with a 90-cent 3-bet. And this limper just calls. You gotta wonder what he's got. And this guy raises, and so I just call. And the reason I don't just shove all in here is because I want to make sure this guy comes along with the intent of just jamming any flop. But he jams it, call. So what do you think these guys have? Probably big Broadway pairs. Maybe if somebody's fishy, he's got ace-king, or even worse. That's a nice flop. It shouldn't hit anybody. And that's a nice turn. Gives me the nut flush draw. That could be an ugly river card. And it is. This guy turns over pocket queens, so he wins with a set. So that was a huge suck out. I was pretty frustrated, but I'm getting a lot better at dealing with these things. You just got to focus on making the right decisions and getting your money in good, and in the long run you'll be ahead. This is a $6 table. We get a couple limps and a raise. You know, I thought there'd be less limping when I moved up to NL6, but it seems these guys are just as bad as they are in NL2. The guy in front of me makes it 30 cents. And now I'm looking at the stacks here. He's got $6. I got over $6. That's 5% of the effective stack for me to call. And a general set mining rule is that you can set mine when it's 5% of your effective stack to call, and never when it's above 10%. And between that, sometimes depending on your opponent. So I call, get some folds. One of the limpers calls. He's looking a bit fishy at 35.5. He's playing 35% of hands. We get a 3-way flop, and it's not the best flop, but it's still pretty good. I got top set here. This should not hit the raiser. He probably doesn't have ace-5 or 6-5 for a straight here. And if he has a pocket pair with a set, then I got a better set than him. If he has an overpair, he's probably going to pay me off. Other stuff might not put much more money in. A bit concerned about this guy here, the fishy guy who limp called. He could have a piece of this flop, but if he does, it's more likely that it's something like 2-pair or a pair or a flush draw or straight draw. It is possible that he flops a straight, but I think most of his hands are air that will fold, or garbage that will call, or maybe draws that will pay me off. Check. This guy bets about 3/4 pot, and I raise. And I'm not really sure how much you should be raising in spots like this. That's something I need to figure out. I don't want to scare him off, but if he does have like ace king of diamonds or a flush draw or something, I want to make him pay. And if he's got an overpair, I'll probably call and put a lot of money in here. So we get this guy folds and this guy jams. He's probably got an overpair. I don't have the nuts here, but I have a really strong hand. The only thing I'm behind here is 6-5 and ace-5, and I don't think he has that. So yeah, I'm definitely calling this. That doesn't look too good. If he did have a draw and he turns over ace-ace, push that money my way. Look at that rake, 73 cents. That's 6% rake from 888 Poker. Damn. Time to move over to Poker Stars. You know, it's funny, I realized that almost every hand I show in these videos is either a pocket pair or a big ace. And I was looking through my hands this week. Literally in the top 26 winners, this is the only hand that wasn't a pocket pair or a big ace. So let's check it out. We get a couple limpers and a pretty small raise, a caller, and I call, and I'm getting really good odds to call with this suited connector. And since this bet is so small and there's so many callers, I think it's pretty likely that these two limpers are going to call. They're getting pretty good odds to call, and they both do. So we see the flop 5 ways and we nail it. We hit the nut straight. There's 2 spades, so somebody with a spade draw might call. Somebody with a draw to a straight might also call. Overpairs are calling. Yeah, I got the nut so far, so I don't really care who calls. This guy donks for half pot. This guy raises a little, and I raise more. That's a little over 2 times, and this guy calls, and he donk shoves a turn. And I don't have the nuts anymore. If he's doing this with 9-10, then he's got me crushed. But I think there's way more garbage that he has, or just, you know, sets, 2-pair kind of thing. Overpairs. He probably would have raised an overpair pre-flop, but who knows. So I call and don't like that river. Completes a flush draw, and he turns over jack-8. So he was limping out of position pre-flop with jack-8, and I take down a $9. Well, it was a $9 pot before the rake. Here you're looking at a graph from this week. I'll show you my favorite part. It's this part right here. I was playing pretty solid and patiently. I was making good decisions. I wasn't just running good. I felt really focused, and around the top here I saw some fishy looking NL6 tables, and I thought I'd give it a try, and this is what happened. So it looks like I can't handle the new stakes, but you know, this is a small sample size, and I'm going to throw in the all-in equity line here. And if you're unfamiliar with this line, the yellow line, in the most basic oversimplified way, when the yellow line goes up and the green line goes down, it means you're playing good and running bad. In other words, it's what you can expect to win on average when going all in each spot. And later on in the week, I was frustrated and I lost focus. I wasn't playing well. I was feeling really impatient, like I wanted to get my money back, and why do I keep getting dealt bad hands? Anyway, I'm not trying to complain. This is my journal, and I'm telling the story of my week. So next week I'm going to work on making better decisions regardless of how I'm running. This week we're up $18. The bankroll total is $165, which is 8.3% of our way to the $2,000 goal. Last week I said my goal for this week was 20 big blinds per 100 hands. I only got about 8 big blinds per 100 hands, which when you adjust for the all-in equity would have been around 18 big blinds per 100 hands. The goal for next week is to work on tilt. I'm going to review my notes from the mental game of poker. If you want to join me in this challenge, check out evthealien.com for more information. Did you enjoy this video? Show your love. Click the like and subscribe buttons. Do you want to tell me I'm a genius or a moron for how I play poker? Leave me a comment below. I'm Ev the Alien. See you next week.